early or not. So what you do is, like what we practice in adult ICUs, 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, we stop sedation, relaxant, everything. Then by 8 or 9 o'clock, when the rounds happen, the child are there is no effect of drugs in their body and they are fully vigorous. You evaluate the child. If you want to extubate, immediately extubate. So basically, the sooner you extubate, the lesser time you're spending in mechanical ventilation. So you're reducing your exposure for ventilator associated pneumonia. Then another important thing is nutrition. Nutrition has to be taken care of because mechanical ventilation will lead to disuse atrophy of muscles. If you keep giving patient only glucose solution, you will not create a state of anabolism. There will be muscle wasting and the child will become weak over time and they will not wean successfully. Their breaths will become very shallow. The moment you will try to put them on TPs or pressure support, they will start getting tired and they will not wean off. So nutrition has to be taken care of. And I'm glad that I'm not presenting TPN today because it's already too much of time already. So it's okay. And this is the weaning criteria. So these are certain criteria. If you see your patient achieving these criteria, you should get an idea that your patient's lungs are improving and you can try and go for extubation. So there's nothing to discuss here, but what you can take a printout of this and you can keep it stuck in your ventilator. And any patient who has a complicated weaning history, you're not able to wean fast, they're taking a lot of time on ventilators, in such cases you can go and consult these things and then you can go for a trial of extubation if you think the weaning criteria is met. But most of the time the children are healthy and we are confident, okay, हमारा pressure support का requirement ही कम है CPAP पे, he will do well. या TP tolerate कर लिया half an hour के लिए, he will do well. So that is the basic crux of the situation. So I hope my presentation was useful. It was definitely long. I did.
Amber,
हाँ जी मैम.
You have presented very well. All the top. I think the ventilation is now very much clear to all of us. I want to ask some practical question. Like we are doing in the neonates, we are doing ventilation. So how frequent we should change the ET tube? And how we should regularly we do the suctioning of the ET tube because it is beneficial as well as harmful also. So what is your opinion regarding this?
See, what I would like to advise is, see, AT tube, you should start monitoring the peak airway pressures. Okay, when the child is shifted on the ventilator, suppose the child was taken for a surgery. Suppose it's a case of TEF. Okay, took the child for surgery, and you want some mechanical ventilation to go on for a period of 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, depending upon how the case went. So when you're shifting the child, you keep a note of the peak pressure. If you can see on my screen, I am showing that thing again. 9 अभी का 9 का pressure. Normally a neonate with a normal lung, उनका peak pressure 10, 11, 12 के around रहता है. So suppose अचानक से आप someone is monitoring, चाहे वो वहाँ पे ज्या था या सिस्टर जी थी या SR थे, जो भी है, there has been a consistent increase in peak airway pressure, sudden increase in peak airway pressure. So you start looking for the causes. ठीक है? If nothing explains this, आपने chest oxygenate किया, आपको bronchi कुछ नहीं आया, entry clear cut समझ में नहीं आई, आपने ट्यूब का सेक्शन कर लिया, ट्यूब के सेक्शन करने के बाद भी पीक प्रेशर नहीं सेटल हो रहा, so probably there is something blocking the tube. So that is when you should go and change the tube. अगर peak pressures normal आ रहे हैं, if they are in the range of 10 to 12, I don't think you need to change the tube very quickly because purpose of tube is just to aid in mechanical ventilation. अगर tube block होगी तो दिक्कत होगी. तो tube block हम कैसे suspect करते हैं? अगर peak airway pressure high होता है. तो अगर अचानक से 10-12 का rise हो गया suddenly, तो first look for the reversible causes. Tube endobronchial तो नहीं हो गया, bronchospasm तो नहीं हो गया, कोई secretion शायद आ गया हो जो एक normal suctioning से clear हो जाए. Even after that you're not able to decrease the chest भी otherwise ठीक लग रही है, air entry है, cracks वगैरह नहीं है chest में, then probably की tube कहीं block हो रही है अंदर. So we change the tube once. And I think for a practice, after like if your oral hygiene, ulcer prophylaxis, everything you're doing, you can keep in the tube for 5 to 7 days. ऐसा कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. But I would have to look at the evidence. I'm not very sure कि exactly कितना recommendation है. There must be some recommendation. कुछ ना कुछ उस पे literature होगा. I'm not very clear on that. But this is what we usually do. We monitor the peak pressures so that we know कि उससे idea लग जाता है patency का. If nothing makes sense, peak pressure decrease नहीं हो रहे, then we go and change the tube. अगर पेशेंट वेंटिलेशन में कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है, चेंज दैट ट्यूब. दैट इज व्हाट वी यूजुअली डू. एंड अगर मैकेनिकल वेंटिलेशन 4-5 दिन तक हो गया तो भी चेंज द ट्यूब, बिकॉज as we know कि there are limitations in every setup, and government setup में थोड़ा होता है, residents का numbers limited है, nursing staff का भी numbers limited है, and चीजें ignore हो जाती हैं, तो regular sectioning बहुत हो नहीं पाती है. तो oral sectioning 4 hours, अब जैसे TEF का बेबी है, तो TEF का बेबी का secretion they are not उनका reflex develop नहीं होता swallowing का अच्छा, तो sometimes they don't swallow, तो obviously we need a frequent sectioning for them. But for other children who are able to swallow, I don't think it's on our mechanical ventilation. I think 4 hours, every 4 to 6 hours is sufficient for them. Okay. And adult population, we use mouthwash. We use mouthwash, chlorhexidine in mouthwash to give a sort of gargle to the patient. We instill with normal saline and then we suction it out. So I'm not very sure how much advice can that be for children, because probably they might be injurious to the mucosa of the tongue, because they are very, the children mucosa might be very, sensitive to that ingredient in the mouthwash. Anything else?
One more question. Like if we have the neonate, like case of the TOF, the patients may be extubated just after surgery, and again patient may develop the tachypnea. May the patient have the pneumonatic patch also. So how frequent on when we decide that patient has to put on the ventilator? Because again the ventilator, putting on the patient on ventilator, both have the advantage and disadvantage, barotrauma and all those trauma. So
see,
how frequent we have to do ABG or like that?
See, one of the things mechanical ventilation may, there are several indications. Okay, one indication is to protect the airway. Suppose the GCS of the patient is very low, जैसे न्यूरोसर्जरी में केसेस आते हैं, EDH हो गया, SDH हो गया, पेशेंट बेहोश है, अनकॉन्शियस है, रिफ्लेक्सेस नहीं है, तो एस्पिरेट करेगा, तो द इंडिकेशन, लेकिन ब्रीथ नॉर्मली कर रहा है, सैचुरेशन एकदम बढ़िया है, एबीजी परफेक्ट आ रहा है, तो वी आर इंट्यूबेटिंग देयर टू प्रोटेक्ट द एयरवे. ठीक है. So in this scenario, probably this indication is not that fitting. Okay. Then you have to look at the oxygenation and ventilation. The most important indication for mechanical ventilation is ventilatory failure. What do I mean by ventilatory failure? The PCO2 levels are going up. है ना? Suppose the child, you have put the child on nasal cannula, or you have put the child on a oxygen hoods. So you are able to supplement oxygen. So if the requirement of oxygen is met, the child will have normal saturation. But you are not able to help the child in order to eliminate that CO2 that needs to be eliminated, because of the disease there can be fatigue. The child is not, or the lungs are very stiff, so it's very difficult for the child to breathe. So when you get the ABGs done, you will see that the CO2 levels are rising. So in a normal newborn, again, if you take a normal range of CO2 35 to 45, if the PCO2 levels are touching 55, 60, that means there should be an intervention. If the levels are on the lower side, like 50, 52, you can still observe for a few hours. But if the child is showing signs of hemodynamic instability, है ना, एकदम cold response आ गया, CRT disturb होने लगा, इसका मतलब patient का circulation already compromised है, तो अब उसको अपनी जो disturbed breathing है उसको support करने के लिए और energy वो कहाँ से लाएगा, अपना basic circulation तो maintain नहीं कर पा रहा. So better to put on mechanical ventilation and let the disease period subside. So indication again, as I would say, कि low GCS. So if it's relevant, do a mechanical intubate the patient. If oxygenation requirement is met with oxygen supplementation, it is no problem. You don't need to intubate the child. But if you're not able to correct the CO2 abnormalities, because that just means that the child is going to respiratory fatigue. The vacillary muscle is tiring out, breathing. So eventually the child can crash any minute. Now that can be in a matter of 10 minutes also, that can take 4 hours also. So once your ABG levels start to go in the alarming range, above 50, 55, then it is better to intubate prophylactically, because when you're intubating prophylactically, you are better prepared. It is better you're going and arranging for stuff, कि हमको ये drug दे दो, हमको bag दे दो, mask दे दो, the team is here, someone is at the backup, rather than waiting for the last moment, जब अचानक से, you'll be doing some work somewhere and you'll receive a call कि the patient एकदम brady में चला गया. So it is always to do elective ventilation if you have that, electively intubate the patient if you have the time.
And what is your advice to do the ABG? How frequent we have to do ABG when the patient is on mechanical ventilation, to look for a patient is optimum ventilation?
Basically what we do is, if the patient is intubated, as soon as the patient is intubated, so you have put in some ventilator settings. Those ventilator settings will cause some effect on the patient's body. So at least wait for half an hour to 1 hour after intubating the patient, and then send an EVG to see what is the baseline. Okay. Whenever you are switching a mode, okay, suppose you have switched the mode कि SIMV से आज PS पे डाल दिया बच्चे को, तो again if you switch a mode, then it is advisable to send an EVG after 1 hour. But if your child looks perfectly normal, okay, कि आपने PS पे से switch करा एंड बच्चा इस कंफर्टेबली लिख रहा है, CRT ठीक है, हार्ट रेट कोई सडनली बढ़ा नहीं, क्योंकि होगा क्या अगर वो मोड ऑफ वेंटिलेशन चेंज करने के बाद अगर CO2 रिटेंशन में जाएगा तो दैट इज कॉल्ड सिंपैथेटिक सिस्टम स्टिमुलेशन, तो टैकी होगा, बीपी हाई जाएगा, सिंपैथेटिक रिस्पांस आएगा. अगर वो करेक्ट नहीं हुआ CO2 तो पीएच गिरने लगेगा, तो एसिडोसिस होने लग जाएगा, तो उसकी वजह से फिर उसके हीमोडायनेमिक्स बिगड़ने लगेंगे. तो अगर आपको पेशेंट का मोड चेंज करने के बाद हीमोडायनेमिक डिटेरियोरेशन दिखता है सडनली, तो गो बैक टू द प्रीवियस मोड. अगर हीमोडायनेमिक डिटेरियोरेशन नहीं दिखता, एकदम नॉर्मल दिखता है, तो यू मे अवॉइड EVG टोटली. बट इफ यू आर नॉट वेरी श्योर कि हाउ इज द पेशेंट बिहेविंग, देन यू कैन सेट एन EVG आफ्टर 1 hour. So at least 30 minutes to 1 hour after intubation, 32 minutes to 1 hour after changing a mode. And if the patient is continuing on the same mode, saturation सही आ रहा है, patient के vitals भी stable लग रहे हैं, then I guess 12 hourly is more than enough.
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
हाँ, बहुत बताइए.
One question from my side.
हाँ.
इनिशियल स्टार्टिंग FiO2 कितना रखना चाहिए, मतलब जैसे हम पेशेंट को वेंटिलेटर पे डाल रहे हैं.
हाँ, ओके.
सी वी शुड स्टार्ट विद मैक्सिमम और वी शुड स्टार्ट विद मिनिमम.
देखिए, अगर आप इंट्यूबेट करने गए थे तो इनिशियली फॉर द फर्स्ट 5 to 10 minutes ऑलवेज गिव 100% ऑक्सीजन. ओके. उसके बाद यू डोंट नो कि, क्योंकि होता क्या ना, जब पेशेंट खुद ब्रीथ कर रहा था तो ऑब्वियसली वो प्रोसेस इफेक्टिव नहीं था. नाउ द वेंटिलेटर इज डूइंग द जॉब, तो ऑब्वियसली दैट प्रोसेस हैज बिकम मोर इफेक्टिव. तो start decreasing FiO2 by 10%, and अगर आपको लगता है कि अब जैसे आपने 10% डिक्रीज करा सैचुरेशन और 10% डिक्रीज करा FiO2 और सैचुरेशन भी ड्रॉप करके 100 से 95 आ गया, तो आई थिंक यू डोंट नीड टू गो एनी डाउन. ठीक है. तो इट्स इनडायरेक्टली अ वे ऑफ नोइंग कि हाँ भाई हम सही जोन पे पहुंच गए. अगर आपने 10% डाउन किया, सैचुरेशन गिर के 88 आ गया, तो ऑब्वियसली 5% बढ़ा दीजिए. तो इनिशियली ऑलवेज 100% फॉर 10-15 minutes and then you start coming down on FiO2.
और एक चीज ये पूछना था, एक बार अशोक सर ने क्लास ली थी, वो कह रहे थे कि हमें जो हमारा टारगेट रेंज रहना चाहिए नियोनेट्स में, वो FiO2 मैक्सिमम 90 to 95 के बीच में, क्योंकि उसके ऊपर वो जो है मोस्टली डैमेज करता है, यानी हाइपर ऑक्सीमिया वाले फीचर्स आने लगते हैं. तो ये कहाँ तक सही, मतलब 90 to 95 इज द करेक्ट रेंज?
देखिए, अडल्ट्स में हम लोग ये फॉलो करते हैं, एनीथिंग अबव 88 इज गुड. ठीक है. लेकिन नियोनेटल जो एकदम अर्ली नियोनेट्स होते हैं, उनका जो ऑक्सीजन डिलीवरी की टू द टिश्यूज है ना, वो अलग होता है, क्योंकि उनके अंदर हीमोग्लोबिन F होता है, फीटल हीमोग्लोबिन होता है. तो इट डजंट रिलीज अ लॉट ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. तो अब नाउ दिस इज ये सारा मेडिकल एविडेंस से बेस्ड है. सम पीपल से 95 से 100 का सैचुरेशन रखिए, क्योंकि ऑक्सीजन अनलोडिंग बहुत अच्छी नहीं है फीटल हीमोग्लोबिन की. तो अगर आप 90 to 95 रखेंगे तो हो सकता है पुअर ऑक्सीजन डिलीवरी हो टिश्यूज को. कुछ लोग लेकिन वो कहते हैं इसका फायदा क्या है, इसका फायदा ये है कि आप हाइपर ऑक्सीमिया प्रिवेंट कर देंगे. तो सुनने में लॉजिकल लगता है. अब दूसरा ग्रुप है, वो ये कहता है कि नहीं, उसका ऑक्सीजन अनलोडिंग पुअर है, तो आपको सैचुरेशन 95 to 99 के बीच में रखना चाहिए, ताकि ऑक्सीजन मिल भी जाए. तो अब कभी एविडेंस इसके अगेंस्ट आता है, कभी इसके अगेंस्ट आता है, तो वो एक पुल एंड पुश चलता रहता है. तो मेरे को भी मतलब देखना पड़ेगा एग्जैक्टली कि लेटेस्ट एविडेंस क्या कहते हैं. बट व्हाट आई डू इज 95 प्लस 2 माइनस 2. ठीक है. डोंट गो फॉर 100, डोंट गो फॉर 90. तो बेस्ट जब तक एक क्लियर कट स्टडी आके नहीं बताती थी कौन सी बढ़िया है, तो टेक अ टारगेट ऑफ 95 प्लस 2 माइनस नंबर. तो उसके अराउंड आप हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. 100 मत रखिए, क्योंकि 100 में देन यू डोंट नो कि वो 100 कि एक्चुअली में हाइपरऑक्सीमिया हो रहा है कि जस्ट 100 तक ही PO2 है ना, हो सकता है 200 पहुंच जाए PO2. So that is bad.